About crime, law enforcement is changing all over the country. Criminals are becoming a lot more sophisticated, and those charged with the responsibility of catching the crooks, well, they're changing too.
That's true. As Tommy Stafford reports, rural West Tennessee sheriffs represent a new breed of law enforcers.
Doing a little bit to help Chief Holmes with that arson. A lot more educated.
Many of the new sheriffs that I went to school with, all were former police officers, some with 15 to 20 years experience.
The sheriffs of today are a new breed. Just like in big cities, trends in rural law enforcement are changing. Tennessee elected 45 new sheriffs in August election. 9 of those came from West Tennessee alone. The sheriffs of today have changed quite a bit over the past 20 years. They are more professional, their administrative abilities are greater, and brute force is used less in this day and time.
Now we're going to go back to the war. We're going to take up exactly where we left off. Only this time
Many folks remember the reputation Tennessee's top county cops got after the 1973 movie Walking Tall. But the sheriffs we talked to say those days are quickly coming to an end.
So you spend a lot of your working hours trying to make those administrative type decisions, as opposed to the old Buford Pusser, John Wayne type sheriff of going in the bars and breaking up the fights. Very little of that. Still every once in a while, but very little of that.
So the professional officers are running for the office of sheriff now, and once they do achieve the office, then they're going to bring that professional attitude with them. They want their people to act the same as they do, and they demand that professional attitude, and they'll continue to build professional departments. It's completely going to change the images of the sheriffs of the past even less than 20 years.
In the past, West Tennessee had its share of bad sheriffs. Several were indicted by federal grand juries, some of those serving prison time for their crimes. And the new breed of sheriff says the public won't tolerate that kind of behavior.
Are made to protect the people, and you're just an instrument of the law. You are not the law. You're just an instrument of the law, and knowing that your powers are limited, you've got to stay within the scope of the law, and, you know, if you step outside that scope, then you place yourself in a position to get in trouble yourself.
Today's sheriff in Tennessee has more to deal with than ever. He must provide police protection for people in his county, but he must also keep up with increasingly sophisticated criminals. In Northwest Tennessee, Tommy Stafford, WREG News Channel 3.
And tomorrow we'll take a look at how some counties are dealing with criminals and where to put them, plus where the new breed of sheriffs see county law enforcement beyond the year 2000.
Right now, the sheriff says if it can work in Michigan, hey, it can work right here in Tennessee.
Prison costs going up. Hey.
Interesting concept. Well, you know, as we told you in our first look at West Tennessee sheriffs on yesterday, they are dramatically changing from the sheriffs of yesteryear.
Rural sheriffs face the same problems of their counterparts in bigger cities, a variety of crimes and the issue of housing inmates. News Channel 3's Tommy Stafford shows us how they are addressing those problems.
It doesn't make any difference that we are a smaller area outside of Memphis, Nashville, any area such as that. We're getting the gang influences are coming in on our town. We're having to deal with them. We've got to be able to respond to them. Our drug problems are much greater than they have been in years past.
We are under a federal mandate in our jail that we can house over 41 inmates at any time, and we stay nearly at capacity all the time. There are times when we're down to 35 or 36, but each weekend we'll go back up to a maximum of 41 and someone.
Lauderdale County is addressing the problem. They're in the process of building a new $4.5 million criminal justice complex, complete with courtrooms and a bigger jail to house a maximum of 122 inmates. In Madison County, the problem is the same. A new 277-bed jail is being built on this site of the old Union University campus. A federal judge ruled last week that construction could continue despite the protest of some of the jail's new neighbors. With a new century around the corner, these law enforcement officials see the qualifications for their jobs becoming more high-tech, and computers a common sight in the rural police workplace.
I just see a new high-tech type of law enforcement that will basically, say, looking at West Tennessee and all of the state of Tennessee, that will link all of law enforcement, police, sheriffs, just link us closer together and certainly do a much better job of trying to detect crime and apprehend those that's responsible.
I think you're going to see things continue through the legislature that's going to demand more of the qualifications before a person can run for sheriff. A lot of them have changed drastically over the past several years.
I believe we're going to continue to progress. We're going to continue to get more complex, more educated, more sophisticated equipment, such things as fingerprint scans. He can lay his hand over a computer. We'll take a picture of that, and we got a complete story of who we got in that jail.
As the state's bigger cities like Memphis and Nashville continue to modernize, it's now becoming easier for the rural areas to do the same. But Warfork says it's still just an honor to hold the office.
Stressful. I certainly felt honored, though, that the people of Jackson, Madison County, Tennessee showed that type of faith and trust in me, and I can assure
in Northwest Tennessee, Tommy Stafford, WREG News Channel 3.
And a footnote, Tennessee does have one newly elected female sheriff. Her name is Gail Ray, sheriff of Davidson County in Nashville.
Did not know that. We also do not know when it is going to warm up, but Mark Frankham does. What about it, Mark?
It's not going to do it tonight, I can assure you of that, Steve. Right now.